Hello and welcome back to Mortals and Portals, a Pathfinder real play podcast. I'm your host and GM, Zach, and joining me at the table is...
Adam, and I play Jhuls, an Azraketi bard.
And I'm Joel, and I play Dax, a kobold rogue.
And that's it. Nobody else is here.
That's it.
Because I
Ryan?
probably
Terry?
should have said this last week. I think listen, we're in a weird situation here. We had weird scheduling conflicts. Just a lot going on, but luckily the party was split. So you should have, before this, heard an episode with Waltz and Tuff and Smith and all that they have going on. We haven't actually recorded that yet, but today we're recording Jhuls and Dax,
Time
what they were
travel.
doing
The future.
during that moment. So I actually don't know, like, even though this is happening after that episode, we don't actually know what happened. So I can't really recap that episode. I haven't
They could be
recorded yet.
dead.
I just know I want it to take place before whatever's happening in this one. Does that make sense? Because we don't actually know what's going on. This is just a total improvise, adapt,
I hope they
overcome
win.
situation.
I never know what's going on.
We're just trying to make sure you guys get your content, man, whatever way,
What level are we?
whatever way you get it. So yeah, I don't know what happened in the last episode, but you probably do because you probably listened to it before this. I think I know sometimes people
You tell
skip
me,
episodes.
audience.
Yeah, you tell us. We'll wait. What happened? No, that didn't work. Okay. Yeah, so no recap.
Dora the Explorer.
But guys, we're gonna just jump in with you. I mean, we know where you're at, Jhuls. You're chasing Raul up a rope. He is appearing to be near the top and entering into the half-destroyed castle that Dax is in. Dax is on the catwalk and just saw him climbing up and realized he had the Flor de Vida. And that is where we ended our session. So that is where we will start our session.
Let's go.
So Dax,
Aha.
Let's go.
you went last. Remember, you are up on that wall now, and you observed Raul climbing from this grapple he shot. He looks very beat up and bloodied. He's grunting, and remember, at his side, you recognize the pouch that contained the Flor de Vida, the one you saw Tuff give to Jhuls, and now know that that is what is inside. So it sounds like you're just observing this for a moment, maybe laying low. He doesn't seem to know that you are there, and that will bring us to Raul, who struggles his way to the top, grabs on to the edge, this floor that is caved in into the cavern, pulls himself up, and kind of rolls over on his side and maybe extends his arms, and you just see him catching his breath, his chest rising up in the air, lots of blood in his white fur, even burnt singes from where his jetpack exploded. Not that you know that is what happened. And he sits up and looks around this room, maybe some flames dancing in the corner, remnants of the massive explosion that happened. He sees dead Kitsune, dead, undead, however you would say that. And he slowly climbs to a knee, presses off his legs, and then stands back up and tilts his neck side to side. You hear maybe some cracking, and then his eyes flare green, and you see him start to subtly heal as he moves his arm around and readjusts himself. Makes sense because you know that he is powered by Gotham in some way and sustaining his life, and there is something that is allowing him to exist apart from the Flor de Vida, and he appears to be tapping into that energy, though he doesn't appear to have healed completely, maybe just a subtle difference. And then he turns around and walks to the edge of this opening and looks down into Caverna de Luz and says, "Give up, Jhuls. This is over." And he reaches to his side and draws his sword once again and is just staring down into this cavern. And that'll take us to Jhuls.
Oh,
You are looking up. He is 35 feet away from you as you're hanging from the end of this rope, looking up at him. He has a smirk on his face. You maybe see some residual energy glowing around him that he used to heal himself, at least partially. He has a very confident smirk on his face as he holds the sword, a sword that could perhaps even cut the rope you were hanging from. What do you do?
yeah. I use my special skill that allows me to never have a rope cut
Right.
while I'm climbing it.
Remaster rule.
We all know that skill.
Yeah, the steel
Yeah.
cable feet. Yeah.
Yeah. So this rope is hanging, but is there like a cliff wall
So you're in the center of the cavern, essentially, is where you started climbing that rope. So you are 25 feet in both directions from the cliff wall. You do have your pillar of water beneath you, though, because you haven't even started climbing yet. You just grabbed onto the rope.
Right. Okay. Let's see here. I was not anticipating him having a sharp object to cut a rope.
Yeah.
What a surprise. I'll look up to him and I'll shout, "Not until you're dead!" And I'll start climbing the rope.
He tilts his head, somewhat puzzled, smirks a bit to himself, maybe half amused by your determination and also by your recklessness because he feels he absolutely has the upper hand. So you're going to just use your 3 actions to climb?
Yeah, I'm just going to use my 3 actions to start climbing. Maybe that's stupid.
Maybe.
All right. Can you roll me 3 athletics checks?
I'm going to do it.
I'm happy you're doing it, so.
Oh, all of them are good.
Okay,
so a 28, a 25, and a 29.
All right, Jhuls, you maybe sigh to yourself. Diego goes, "Wait, you're going to climb this, you fool! He is going to cut it, we are going to fall to our death!" And you kick off this pillar of water you're standing on. He goes, "Oh boy, here we go!" And he jumps onto your shoulder, very nervous. And you just start climbing.
Stick with me, Diego.
As fast as you can, channeling your pirate heritage of perhaps climbing up into a crow's nest. You're blazing up this rope. You had 2 critical successes and 1 regular success, and that is going to put you at 25 feet. So you only have 10 feet remaining. And as you're climbing as fast as you can, seeing Raul, his face growing closer to yours, he simply shakes his head. "Foolish Azarketi." And he grips his blade, getting ready to cut this rope. And that will take us to Dax. Dax, you surely see Jhuls entering the picture now and have observed Raul speaking to him. What do you do? Keep in mind, you climbed up onto the catwalk center of the room, and that would put you 50 feet from Raul as he is standing in the center of the room, and it was 100 by 100-foot room.
Gosh dang it, Zach. Because that catwalk in the center is crumbled, would you would closing that distance be 2 actions, or would I need to spend 1 action to get down and then 2 more actions?
I would say because it maybe formed like a bit of a ramp, so you could just like run straight down it like normal because the bridge crumbled that you exploded and everything.
Seeing Jhuls in danger and kind of the gravity of the situation, seeing that Raul both literally and figuratively has the upper hand now, like the high ground, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Dax is full on like panic mode. Is gonna run the 50 feet, run down that ramp, close the distance, and then if you'll allow it, I'm gonna take my sword and try to slash at the bag. Try to cut the bag. I'm not trying to steal it because I know I would need a feat for that to steal in combat. From what I can tell, thievery checks if you're in combat automatically fail unless you're a master. So I'm not trying to steal it and grab it for myself. I just want to cut it out of his hands.
You want to disarm him. You could attempt a disarm check against the Flora de Vida if you want.
Okay. That seems like a just way of doing that. Does giving you that compliment give me a circumstance bonus or anything?
No, I actually don't like kiss ups, so you get like the opposite. I also don't like when you don't kiss up, so either way you get negative.
You're a very difficult man to please, GM Zacharnesty.
All right. Ooh, that's not bad. That is a non-natural 30.
Wow.
Ooh.
Man, good job, bro. Okay.
I hope that's a crit success and not a regular success because disarm is a weird mechanic.
I can never tell. Zach is so sarcastic. I can't tell if that... Wow, good job.
Okay, Dax, your heart is pounding. You see Jhuls climbing up this rope. You get the sense that Raul is going to cut it and make him fall to his death. And all these thoughts rush through your mind, and you feel like the only way you can get him to care more about something other than causing Jhuls to fall to his death is to attack this Flora de Vida. And you recklessly hop over the wall of this catwalk and start to slide down the crumbling rubble and just start sprinting towards Raul. Raul hears this loud commotion, turns his head just in time to see you sliding along the ground with your arm outreached, trying to swipe the Flora de Vida out of his hand, and you cut his wrist with your claws as he nearly drops the Flora de Vida, but scoops it out of the air just before it hits the ground, and you see him shaking his hand. Curse you! And you can tell you did a regular success, which weakened his grip on the item, and you'll get a +2 circumstance bonus against further attempts to disarm him.
Hey, that's not bad.
Well, until his turn starts, so.
And he stumbles to the side and looks at you, and you can tell you have his full attention, at least for a brief moment, as he really did feel like he had the complete upper hand in a one-on-one with Jhuls dangling from a rope. And as this takes us back to Raul, he says,
"If only Zig killed you as he said he did. No matter, I will do it myself."
And he twirls his sword, and you see it flare green with this energy, and his teeth gritting, showing his fangs. He looks truly mad in this moment, like he is done with the theatrics of this fight. He is done drawing it out. He does not want to be dramatic, and he knows Jhuls is on this rope, and he just wants to finish you. And he is going to use his confident finisher as he sprints up, does a couple stutter steps to the side, maybe feigns a blow going low, and then jumps in the air and spins and brings this ferocious slash down at you as he jumps off some rubble in the air.
I don't like that giggle you just did.
Is a 29 a crit?
No, sir.
All right, well, this is still a confident finisher, so don't rest easy just yet, but you probably would have been one
Too
shot.
bad I'm
if
already
you
asleep.
did.
I'm regretting my decision to not heal before I started this interaction.
And the sword stabs deep into your shoulder, maybe coming out the back of you, and he tears it out as flesh flies onto the ground, blood spilling everywhere, and he deals 23 damage
Holy
with this stab. Are you still up?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Awesome.
Dax,
Oh,
hang in there.
And as he sees you stumbling, looking weak, he is spinning his sword, madness flaring in his eyes, and says,
"You should have stayed hidden, Kobold."
and does a non-natural 20 hit you?
No, it doesn't.
He steps forward and slashes at you, Dax, your heart pounding, maybe scared that you're going to die in this moment, maybe second guessing what you're doing, but no, you have to stay engaged in combat to give Jhuls time to get up. You expertly roll along the ground as the sword bashes into the rock, narrowly missing you. Perhaps even if you still had your tail, it would have gotten you in some way as you stand up.
Oh yeah, Dax is full fight or flight right now.
And he says,
Delaying the inevitable.
and he's going to attempt to demoralize you. Does a 21 beat your fortitude DC?
It does, barely.
All right. So you are demoralized. You're going to take a -1 status penalty. And that'll bring us to Jhuls. Jhuls, you may have heard Dax grunt, yell. You hear Renard taunting him. What do you do?
Dax? I want to climb up as fast as I can.
All right, roll me an athletics check, dude.
It's a 22.
That is a regular success. You move 5 feet. You have 5 more feet to go.
I'll climb once more. That's a 24.
That is another regular success. So you start to pull yourself up, grab the edge with both hands, do a muscle up, and then roll on to the ground and stand upright and see a bloody Dax stumbling around as Raul swings a glowing green sword at him. What do you do with your third action?
How far away am I?
You really are just 5 feet from him. Dax came right up into his space. You just climbed up onto the ledge. You're right next to him.
With my last action, I want to try to just tackle him.
You want to roll a grapple check?
Yeah. Okay, that's a 24.
Dax, as you're stumbling back to your feet, you see Raul coming at you, preparing another strike as he raises his sword above his head, and then suddenly you see the arms of Jhuls wrap over his shoulder, one underneath his arm, and then just bear hug him from behind as Raul stumbles forward. Jhuls has grappled him.
Ah! Dax, get out of here!
Yeah, I'm not gonna leave you, Jhuls. Glad you're here.
I'm glad you're here, but you're badly hurt. Get out!
And that will take us to you, Dax.
Clutching his shoulder, Dax is going to feel that potion that's in his bag from Lago de Paz and I guess pull it out, pop the cork, and chug it. He feels like he is on death's door right now, so anything he can do to keep fighting.
All right, that's 2 actions, 1 to draw it and 1 to apply it. That'll be 5d6 plus 12 hit points as you use this Lago de Paz water. And maybe as you raise it to your lips, you remember that you need to pour it on you. And then frantically in this moment, and just like a athlete out in the heat, just pour it all over you really quickly and then just throw the vial to the side. What did you roll?
31.
Wow.
Nice.
Good deal.
That is a good deal.
Oh, goodness. Sick.
You see Raul's eyes grow wide as he realizes you're using Lago de Paz against him in his own home. And what do you do with your third action?
I think we just need to get damage dealt to Raul at this point. So I'm just going to... Ooh, and I get a sneak attack because we're flanking
And
him.
he's off guard.
Sick. Okay. Yeah, I'm just going to swing at him with my short sword.
All right, roll it up.
And I'm going to miss probably with a
Uh-oh.
whopping 14.
Okay. Dax, you're impressed as you go in with your swing because even though Raul is grappled, he lifts one of his legs up and kicks your hand out of the way as he's struggling with Jhuls, and your sword clanks off the ground as you stumble and then regain your balance. And Raul just continues to struggle with Jhuls.
Get off of me.
You're faster than I thought.
And that will take us to Raul, who's going to try and escape.
Yeah, good luck. I'm strong as heck.
What is your athletics modifier, Jhuls?
Plus 10.
Jhuls, you feel a sharp elbow hit you in the ribs as your grip releases from Raul and he ducks out from underneath your arms. His hair is all wild and frayed from struggling against you, and he pants. And he grips his sword and his eyes dart side to side, and in frustration, he yells,
Enough of this. Your self-righteousness will be the death of us all. You ignorant fools fight for something you do not understand.
Raul is basically going to use his turn to try and reason with you guys if you want to engage him or question him, but you can tell that he is viewing this fight as something he may lose, especially now that he's outnumbered, and he obviously cares more about the planet getting destroyed than him killing each of you, and he is obviously trying to communicate with you out of desperation.
Why, Raul? What's the point of all of this? To kill millions? What's the point? And Jhuls is kind of panting a little bit.
So is he, as he's waning side to side, just blood in his fur, and he raises 2 fingers to his temple and taps on his head.
Think for a moment. Gothram swore the oath of a keeper, charging him with Kaldora's protection, an oath he upholds even in death. Everything he does is in service to this oath. You yourselves have seen him and know he is to be feared. Yet you have not stopped to ask what force even he fears enough to destroy Lorthal in order to preserve Kaldora. Well, what he fears is coming here, and it is coming through Lorthal's nodes, so they must be destroyed. But there is not enough old magic left to accomplish such a feat, and this is the only way.
What is coming here? Enough with the cryptic words. Speak plainly. What does Gothram fear? What is coming here?
The Alvirium, a force born of another system, unlike any you have seen or heard of. They purge worlds of life, unhindered by any trace of compassion, and wielding a magic more potent than that which created our worlds. Even I do not know what they are truly capable of, or what unspeakable evil commands them, but I have seen enough. For some of them are here now, cast out from their worlds by the displacement, and they have sent a signal across the stars. Orders for an invasion. Kaldora is too distracted to stop, so it is up to the keepers. And if you save Ciudad de la Nubes, you doom Kaldora.
If it was that simple, why wouldn't all of the keepers be on the same side? This is clearly a division among them.
Because they do not agree, you fool! Gothram is willing to do what must be done.
No, I think it is you that is foolish, Raul. It is foolish to think that everything is so black and white, that there's one right way to do anything.
Yes, what makes you right?
There's good and bad to any decision we make.
He spits out blood.
I know this. We have been presented with a choice nobody should ever have to make. Yet here we are. Destroy a world to spare 6 more, or spare the one and risk losing them all. I have made my choice, however unsavory it might be, but I can die knowing for certain that 6 worlds will live because of it. You do not know what you're dealing with, the Salvirium. Even I cannot tell you how they appear, for I do not know if I have seen their true form. Their essence is not contained by a body, and they are not marked by a face, but they can possess what they like and walk amongst us. Even now you could be Alvirium, and I would not know, though if you were, I'm sure I would already be dead. You are not prepared for this fight. People that know far more than you have made this decision. It must be done. We are out of time. Your keepers have squandered centuries to stop this. Why would you be any different? They are coming.
Raul, you have made your choice, and I think we've made ours.
Jhuls will grab his trident and take kind of a defensive stance, ready to finish this thing. And Jhuls will look to Dax for a split second, and in that moment, just think about all they've been through, all they've accomplished together, and just still figuring out their connected destiny and all this keeper business. And so he'll get a flood of purpose and determination inside of him, and he'll say, if there's a small chance that we can save everyone, then the cure is worth seeking. So let them come.
Raul just sighs. He looks exhausted, and you can tell he's not sure if he's going to win, but he just shakes his head, and you actually kind of detect sadness in him. He maybe looks more relatable than you've ever seen him before. And then he looks up and he says,
Well, Caldora is my home, and I will not allow it to be devoured. I will die before I give you the Flora de Vida, for I owe my life to the very keepers that have called me to this fight. But if you should kill me, I hope you are who you think you are, because the fate of Caldora will be in your hands.
And he twirls his sword, and that'll take us to you, Jhuls.
Okay, I'm going to start out bringing my ocarina to my mouth, and I will cast Dirge of Doom once again. It is 1 action. If he's in a 30-foot emanation from me, he's frightened 1.
Automatically? Or he rolls a check?
No, it's automatic, but it's only if he stays within that 30-foot
Okay,
emanation.
sounds good. You play an ominous tune to kick off this second round of this fight.
Yeah.
Is it only enemies, or am I affected too?
Yes, it says foes.
Okay, cool.
Foes within the area. So that's my first action. My second action, I will just run up to him and attack him with my trident. I want to get up and personal.
All right.
Pretty good. That's a 30.
That hits.
Nice. 6 damage.
All right. After playing this tune, you perhaps toss your trident up into the air for a second as you take a step forward, catch it, and then slash it across as it slides off Raul's sword and then skids across his leg. More blood trickles down.
I'd like to attempt to grab the bag.
You can attempt to disarm him again.
Then I'd like to attempt to disarm him.
Okay.
Try to get that Fleur de Vida back. Sorry, what am I rolling again?
An athletics check, but it does take a multi-attack penalty.
Okay, so that is a 24 minus 5, so a 19.
You go up and swipe towards the Flora de Vida, and he simply moves his arm out of the way and then pushes you in the back as you stumble forward. And then he just turns around and faces Dax, as he can tell what you guys are going for. And that'll take us to you, Dax.
As they're locked in combat here, maybe as Raul is striking with a sword or something, Dax is going to try to grab his wrist, and I'm going to do the ignition spell as a melee attack spell.
Okay.
And deal some damage, hopefully.
Get him. Though now I slightly feel bad for him, just a little bit.
The dice had to cool off eventually. That is a 13.
You go to cast this fire at him, slashing your claws engulfed in flames, and he rapidly spins around, and you see green sparks flying off him, this perhaps necrotic negative energy that's keeping him alive, and he grabs your wrist with it, and it just puts the flame out on your hand, and then he releases the grip You can tell that he is channeling whatever unnatural powers in him, perhaps even draining his own life as he does it, the very energy that keeps him alive apart from the Flora de Vida.
What?
What do you do with your third action?
With all the emotion in Dax's mind right now, some hatred, some maybe fear, definitely some uncertainty with what Raul was saying about, their whole plan. Things not being quite as white and black, good and evil as he would like them to be. He is going to a little haphazardly swing that short sword back at Raul with that multi-attack penalty.
Roll it up.
That is a non-natural 20.
You go to swing the sword, and his sword meets yours at blazing speed and power that just knocks your swing completely off course as you feel this power ringing up your arm. And that'll bring us back to Raul, who's going to use a step action to step away from each of you, getting himself a little bit further from this ledge. And he squares up on each of you, his eyes darting side to side, looking at the two of you as he holds the sword centered in front of him with one hand, still clenching the Flora de Vida at his side. And he looks down to it and closes his eyes a bit, and you see some energy dancing from the Flora de Vida up his arm and then swirling around his body. And then you see it start to mix with this green energy that was dancing around him as it starts to form this powerful aura as he is channeling both the Flora de Vida and Gotham's life energy that he has given him.
What the heck?
And his eyes open, and this mixture of blue and green light just emits from him as this powerful aura surges all around him. And he takes his sword up and then just punches into the ground as this massive eruption fires outward. Can you each roll me a fortitude save?
I guess. Yeesh. Uh-oh. SpaghettiOs.
Dude, what is happening?
16.
I got a 14, big dog.
Oh no!
16 and a 14.
Oh no.
These dice are either hot or they're not. I don't know why. There's no in between.
This wave erupts at you as you're hit by this powerful energy. The second it impacts your body, you just feel like exhausted. This negative energy that just has the inverse effect on you, just zapping energy from you, exhausting you, and then blasts you backwards. And you each take 25 damage and fall back 5 feet, which would send you over the ledge. Can you each roll me a grab and edge reaction, which is an athletics check?
It's 29.
There, that's the first good one I've had. 31.
Wow.
Way to one-up me, Joel. But no, I'm actually really glad you got that.
No joke.
That would have been bad.
Dax, you get blasted back and slide, but then brace and then use perfect balance. Your tiptoes are the only thing remaining on the edge as you wave your hands and then lean into the blast and like wane and use your tail for balance and are managed to stay up. Jhuls, you get thrown back and then manage to grab onto the edge as you're hanging over Caverna de Luz, but not still up on the platform like Dax is, your feet just dangling.
Jhuls!
I'm all right, Dax.
And Raul lets out a deep exhale as you just see this energy exhaust from his nostrils and the aura die down, and he slowly raises his head and you see him doing very labored breathing after doing that, and maybe even stumbles for a second and then raises his head again. And that'll take us to you, Jhuls.
I'd like to pull myself back up.
Okay, roll me an athletics check just to make sure you don't botch it.
It's a 18.
You maybe like not very gracefully climb up as you grab and some rubble falls off from the edge. Maybe slip, hang from one arm for a second, grab on, slowly crawl up and maybe roll on your side and lay on your back for a moment, and then crawl to your feet. As you stand there exhausted after taking all that damage, you're probably just covered in soot and sweat and cuts and just dirt and grime. As you see flames dancing all around you from this explosion. What do you do with your second action? Keep in mind he's stepped away from you guys, so there is 5 feet of distance. You will need to move if you want to melee attack him.
Okay, I will move up closer to him once again.
All right.
I have a question, Zach.
What?
What happened to Diego?
Diego is still on you. He is perhaps saying,
Remember, do not surrender. This is for Carlos.
but you can tell he's a little scared.
I want to attempt to grapple again.
Okay.
24.
You run up to grapple him, and as you're running towards, he just stomps his foot and shoots another one of those waves at you, just like a small one, and it hits you in the chest and stops you from advancing to grab him, and you fail to grapple him.
Dang it. Well, in that case...
That'd be the end of your turn.
Oh, that's right. I forgot I had to move. Okay, that's the end of my turn. Yeah.
And that'll take us to Dax, who is still waning on the edge, maybe just fully regained his balance, sees Jhuls charge up. What do you do?
Oh, we just gotta get him.
We just got to get him.
Yeah. Okay.
My bad.
Dax's right hand will start to emanate some burning light. He'll call out to Raul. I can't believe that something exuding the energy that you are now will end up on the right side of history. And then he'll snap his fingers, casting ignition again, this time as a ranged attack
Awesome.
on Raul.
It's either nat 20 or nat 1. Oh.
No, it's a 2 on dice. That's the last time I casted this was a 4 on dice. That is a
Dang it.
13.
You cast the flame, and he raises his sword, and it just absorbs the fire as it burns bright for a moment, and then the energy goes away, and he lowers his sword again to his side and says,
Do not worry, Dax. History will not remember me. In fact, I may even be a villain to them. But because of me, Keldora will live on.
Is that the end of your turn?
Yes.
Raul says,
Let us end this.
and he starts to step forward and then stops for a moment as all of you feel the floor rumble and the foundation of the castle shake. And Raul smirks and looks at you and says,
You guys are running out of time.
and as the earth trembles, rubble starts to fall from the ceiling. Can you all roll me a reflex save? Ciudad de la Nubes is running out of energy, you guys.
Oh my gosh. 25. Uh-oh.
What'd you get,
It's
Jhuls?
not a good face, Adam.
So nat 1.
Oh no, do you want to roll a percentage die?
I'd like to roll again. If that's.
Do you
can I
have a
do
hero
that?
point?
I don't. I don't, Joel.
Yeah.
70.
All right. And Raul looks up as some rubble falls down, and he rolls out of the way, maybe even ignites his sword and slashes some of the rubble and blows it up before it hits him. Dax, you dive out of the way as well, expertly rolling to the side, dodging multiple small ones. Jhuls, you look up and you're about to dive out of the way, but then the ground shakes another time and you stumble and lose your balance ever so slightly and take 6 damage as a boulder strikes you in the shoulder, and you wane back and forth for a moment as the ground continues to shake. And as you stumble and then look up, you instantly see a sword just flying at you as he sprints up to you.
Great. This is great. I'm loving this.
Just like we designed it.
I love when it's 2-on-1 and I feel like
Right? No
we're just
joke.
whiffing it.
Does a 26 hit you?
Yes. Let me guess, this does like 30 something damage.
And the sword slashes across you and does 7 damage as you just get pummeled by a boulder and then struck by a sword. And then he is going to kick you and try and get you closer to the ledge. Because remember, you've now moved 5 feet away from it, so you're no longer like right up on it.
Yeah.
And his shove does not succeed. So Jhuls, you see his foot rising up to you and dodge just as the kick was coming at your chest to the side and are able to stay upright and not get shoved. And that will take us to you, Jhuls,
Your keepers chose wrong.
as Raul mocks you, feeling he's regained the upper hand. Because you guys are trash, dude. You're getting freaking owned.
Jhuls will grab his trident and he'll say, "Perhaps this is true, but it won't stop me from kicking your ass." And then I'll lunge my trident forward at him.
Roll it up.
It's a 29.
That
Nice.
hits.
All right, 9 damage.
Jhuls, as you say that, you're running towards him and you're starting to get a feel for the way he parries and blocks, and you strike and meet his sword, but then swoop down with basically the pommel of the trident and then just smack him hard in the ribs, and you hear it just thunder like boom as it hits him in this open cavern of this crumbling castle. he spits out some blood.
I'd like to maneuver to get around him so that Dax and I can be flanking him.
All right. As he's holding his side, you step back maybe a little bit and then keep your trident at bay as you slowly move around him. And then you guys are now on each side of him, and he looks over his shoulder and then back at Dax and starts to sort of spin with his sword out, not really knowing who to guard against.
And with my last action, I will cast Dirge of Doom once more.
Nice.
All right.
So now he is frightened one once again.
That tune. I'm going to cast that ocarina into the pit.
You can try.
And that'll take us to Dax.
Okay, kind of shaking his head after teeter-tottering on the edge of the precipice. He'll confidently stride up to Raul and slash at his chest with his sword.
Get him, Daxy.
Do it.
There we go. That's a decent roll. 27.
That hits.
19 piercing damage, my man.
Holy
Hey,
cow.
Sneak attack.
That's a big number.
19, you say?
I do say.
Dax, as you sprint up with your sword, he maybe thrusts his hand out and shoots another one of those energy pulses, but you like matrix under it as you slide on your knees and then stand up on the other side of it and jump into the air and then just stab him high up in the shoulder, like through his trap.
Yeah.
And he stumbles around and holds the bag with the Flor de Vida up to his shoulder as he tries to stop some bleeding, and now the bag is just soaked in blood, and he looks at his hand and then looks up at you.
I see why Gothram chose you.
Is that the end of your turn?
No, that was only one attack. So the move and an
You
attack.
said that's so BA.
I was just warming up, and then I'll attack him again with my sword. Ooh, even better. So that is a 30
better.
minus 4 for the multi-attack, so 26.
That hits. Oh my goodness, where'd this come from, dude? You've been sandbagging the whole time.
Get him. He's finally woken up.
18 damage that time.
Wow. As he's stumbling around, you slide under his leg and come up behind him for a second, and he turns around just in time for you to stab him halfway through his stomach as it kind of comes out the side, blood spilling all over the floor, and his white fur is almost unrecognizable at this point. He's just so bloodied, and he's very weak, almost like he's mustering trash talk against you, but you just hear like breath escape him as he's trying to regain composure. Is that the end of your turn? Or you have a third action?
Yeah, you can go now.
And he looks up as more rocks start to fall down from this trembling room. You can tell he feels like he only needs to hold on a little bit longer. Can you all roll me reflex saves?
Oh, that's better this time. Yeesh. 28.
24.
Dax, after this strike, you see Raul's eyes look up as he lazily steps to the side from a falling rock, but then realized what he was doing and then look up and just at the last second dive out of the way, but some of the shrapnel from the exploding rock hits you and you're going to take 3 damage. And Jhuls completely sidesteps the rock. And Raul just stumbling, looking around at each of you. You just see desperation in his eyes, and he closes his eyes as the bag with the Flor de Vida starts to glow again and work its way up his arm, mixing with the green energy. And he points his sword as a beam fires out of it at Dax, who just did a ton of damage to him.
Things are not looking good, fam.
Dax is a 34, a crit.
Jeez.
Why?
Is it?
Wouldn't you like... Yes, it is.
Oh no. Dang it. This beam erupts almost in this blinding light for a moment until it channels and focuses into a very precise beam that crackles past Jhuls' chest as he feels it singe across his chest, flying at Dax. Dax, you perhaps try and raise a sword to block it, and it strikes your sword and just erupts in this massive green-blue eruption. Jhuls, you maybe even have to shield your eyes as you take 27 damage.
Oh.
Are you still up?
No.
Jhuls, you lower your forearm from your eyes and then look where Dax once stood and see him perhaps 5 feet away, just bloodied, burnt chest laying on the ground, not holding on to his sword, eyes closed, head to the side, looking incapacitated
Dax!
as Raul lowers his sword, drops to a knee for a second, but then slowly stands back up and then lazily looks to you, maybe one of his eyes even closed with just blood all in his fur, and then he's going to raise his sword and slash it at you, Jhuls. Does a 22 hit you?
It does not.
Wow, okay. Would a 23 have hit you? Because if so, that frightened just saved you.
It would have.
All right.
Yes.
And he sort of lazily stumbles forward and swings this sword, and you meet his blade perpendicular with your trident and then thrust it backwards as he stumbles away for a moment. And you're just breathing heavy, looking at Dax on the ground, and that takes us to you, Jhuls.
I look to him and I say, enough! And I just raise my hand into a gun shape, and I'm going to cast my last level 3 spell and shoot magic missile at him. All 3 of them. I get an extra d4 per missile.
All right.
16.
You fire all of these magic missiles. They pepper him in the chest. You maybe even see a hole blown through his chest as well. Exit wound out the back as he coughs up a bunch of blood, stumbles backwards and hits a pillar, and then is just waning side to side, breathing very heavily.
Dang, he's still up.
Blood just dripping out of his mouth. He maybe looks like he's about to drop his sword, and he grits his teeth and he's looking up at you and he says,
I will not fill my home.
how many actions do you have left?
That was it.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
Raul drops to a knee again, and he's just breathing heavily, and he's looking over at Dax, who is laying on the ground.
It seems the keepers will never work together.
And he spits up a bunch of blood on the ground, and he just looks to the side over the cavern and then looks down at his bag with the Flora de Vida, and as the whole castle starts to shake, more rocks crumbling, falling down, and he just looks over into Caverna de Luz and says,
I have won.
and he just throws the Flora de Vida off the side into
No!
the cavern, and then rests his back up against a pillar and just drops his sword as he chuckles. Spits up a bunch of blood. Can you roll me a reflex save as more rocks fall down?
23.
23. Dax, can you roll me a percentage die?
In keeping with the theme of tonight, 14.
Jeez.
Jhuls, you see the entire roof that remains just start to cave in, rocks falling. You look over and see Raul look up as this pillar just collapses, falling on top of him. And as he is about to get engulfed, he looks at you and says,
You have lost, keeper.
and he gets buried beneath these rocks as several fall down on you as well. You are going to take 3 damage, and as you stumble forward, you see some of these rocks start to fall and hit Dax as well. Dax, this is going to send you into dying 2 as you take damage. And Jhuls, what do you do with your turn?
I look to the edge of the cavern, thinking of the Flor de Vida, and I take 1 step, but then an image of Ryu flashes in my brain, and I immediately turn around to Dax, and I run over to him, and seeing him take out his vial and dump it on him before reminded Jhuls that he still has his, and he will take that out and pour it over Dax.
Okay, that is a very good thing you did not use that yet. Okay, Dax, you can roll 5d6 plus 12 hit points.
Here we go. 24 hit points.
Dax, as this healing water pours over you once again, you gasp for air and sit upright, to see a beaten and bloody Jhuls looking you in the eye.
Dax, you're alive.
Oh, what happened? As Dax is looking around at all the rubble. Where's Raul?
He's there. And Jules points to the pile of boulders. The fluid of Vita, he cast it over the edge. And Jules will stand up and he'll look to Dax and say, Dax, find somewhere safe. And then I will run to the edge.
What are you doing, bro?
I'll stop when I get to the edge, maybe do a perception check to see if I notice it landed on a platform or a bridge or anything.
All right, roll me a perception check.
Okay, that's a 28.
Jhuls, you run up to the side and you're just scanning around and looking into this cavern as rubble continues to fall into it. You see the battered and halfway destroyed land bridges. You, of course, see your pillar of water, which lasts a minute, doesn't it?
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was still up or not.
Yeah, I mean, that'd still be there. Maybe some rubble is like floating inside the water that it like caught as it was falling down. And as you scan, you do see through, because there is that gap in the land bridge that you were last on, you can see the land bridge right beneath it and see a bloodied bag with a faint blue glow around it, almost as if the Flora de Vida is calling out to you in its final dying moments. What do you do?
I take one final look back to Dax and I smile at him.
Dax understands what's going on, and being the survivalist he is, he'll just smile and nod at you.
I'll nod back and then I'll put my hands on my chest in a cross, kind of like Wakanda Forever. And I will pencil dive back into my pillar of water.
Roll me an acrobatics check, because you have to hit like a very precise pillar of water.
This should be okay.
Nat
I think I
Looks
have.
at Dax, smiles, dies.
That is a 25.
Jhuls, a very precise diver that you are, you pencil dive off of this platform, turn around, see this very precise pillar of water that you created, knowing that it is 60 feet high and should give you enough cushion before hitting the land bridge. You perfectly hit the center of this and do a deep plunge into the pillar. Just as you're about to make contact with the land bridge and perhaps stand up and walk out, you feel the water surge up and hit you in the chest as the city starts to plummet and it dissipates the pillar of water, throwing it off to the side, and you maybe fall the remaining 10 feet and just land on your chest hard on this land bridge, but then feel yourself start to lift up subtly into the air as Ciudad de la Nubes is falling out of the sky. And that is where we'll end our session. What? You thought it was over? You're so close. You're just so close. You're so close.
I thought. I didn't think it was over, but I thought I had the next part.
Out of the frying pan into the fire or something like that, right?
But you guys need to shut up, because we're going to save that for the
Aw,
downtime.
I was just gonna talk
which is
about
for
a bunch.
No, shut up.
I was going to
Shut
talk
up,
about
shut
it
up,
too,
shut up.
Joel.
Oh my
What?
gosh, shut up. Seriously, shut up, both of you.
Wait,
There's
are
only
you
two
talking
of
to
you, and
me
you're
or
making
Joel?
me as angry as when there's four.
I know, but who are you
You
telling
guys
to
are
shut up?
rowdy today.
I'm
I'm
confused.
over this. All right, you know what?
I
Shut
think
up.
he's talking
Sit-
to you, Adam.
Wait a second. Do you guys hate patrons or something? Because that is for the patrons. It's in the downtime, which is for patrons where we react to the most recent episode. Sorry, that's how flustered you guys had me. So yeah, check that out on Patreon. We have a lot of stuff on Patreon. We have like metacasts and downtimes and art and live streams and all that stuff. So check that out if you're interested. But for now, I'm gonna read some comments that I've seen online from the show. And there is someone I owe reading their comments, because there is someone on Reddit who is just a champion of the show, and they just recommend us all the time. I'm not even gonna butcher their name. I just want to say it. Their name is Amateur Opinions. I've seen them like on our subreddit. I've seen them on other comments. Hopefully they're in the Discord. I don't actually know if you're in the Discord. So if you hear this comment and this is you in the Discord, let us know. But if you're not, you should join the Discord. And they went on to the Glass Cannon podcast subreddit, a little bit of a behind enemy lines kind of thing. And someone was asking for podcast recommendations on the Glass Cannon podcast, which is pretty wild.
Wow.
I don't know the rules on that one, but yeah, cool. So Amateur Opinions said, Mortals in Portals are the best. Original story and setting with tons of custom music and art. They savagely edit their episodes down to a fast pace and have tons of in-character humor and drama across each story arc. Spectacular battles and high-stakes quests. The second big chunk of the adventure is finishing soon, so I highly recommend starting soon. And yeah, someone else joined in, Irie251. They said, second this, love Mortals and Portals. The fact they're doing a homebrew story also makes it a great as someone who knows a lot of the APs. Hey, thank you. Seriously,
Yeah.
Amateur Opinions,
That's
I've
awesome.
seen you, man. Or lady, I don't know. I've seen the comments. I upvote them when I see them. I appreciate it. I just don't like swooping in and commenting because then it makes me seem like I'm lurking, which I am. I just don't want you to know that I'm doing that. But I really appreciate all the times you've commented. Like seriously, and you do it a lot on the Glass Cannon podcast, which I've noticed, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's
as well.
even better.
If we could just siphon all their
Be
listeners,
nice, you know.
if there's any way we could get every single one of their listeners, that'd be cool. So yeah, keep fighting the good fight. Really appreciate it.
I love how in this lore, people can't listen to both.
Yeah, in this lore, they
Like
can't.
it's a fight. Like there's
I mean,
one or
they
the
only have
other.
so much time in the day, you know. So, I mean, I guess we release bi-weekly. There's time for both. You can do it. I mean, it's all right. So yeah, convert them all. They can still listen to it, but just bring them over. They'd appreciate it. And we'll send ours to Glass Cannon. They won't even notice, but they can have ours too. But we'll all share listeners.
Yeah.
It'd be great. That would help us out a lot more than it would help them. But yeah, just float that
Don't tell
idea.
them
Just
that.
sending that to you, Glass
Right.
Cannon, if you're listening, which I know you're not. And yeah, we will see you next time, mortals.
Oh, that's better this time. Yeesh. 28.
Let's see if I can do this with mouthful of peanuts without
What are you holding?
Mouthful of what?
Oh, mouthful of what?
24.
Oh, man. Oh, excuse me? Thanks for the booster, Joel. All right. Joel's getting a little too comfortable playing with his friends over here.